how can, starting from the top, how can marketing do a better job at explaining and telling them what exactly content automation, how this will help them? I guess you should go.
Yeah, Skynet is not coming to take your job, right? They're not going to take over. I think when we talk to our clients about automation, it's really more of being able to maintain that top of mind awareness throughout a long sales cycle, right? And then also offering helpful tactics for a salesperson that may be strapped with 100 accounts, right? To be able to apply certain content strategy passively without a lot of engagement. And it's, you know, I think we've all seen those robo emails, right? Hey, checking in. Hi, Bruce, and it's lowercase Bruce, or whatever I input on a contact form. It's, you know, so those are where you can sabotage the relationship if you automate too much.
What do you think about that, just as far as the relationship is concerned? Because where's the pitfall, I guess, in this relationship, really?
Well, I think the pitfall is the same pitfall that you have across all relationships within an organization. And I think what it really comes down to is really understanding that you're working for a greater mission together. You know, understanding the overall business strategy that you want to execute. And if you can get everybody aligned on that, then they can go and they can do their individual jobs within the department. But I think if you really want to get marketing and sales on board with marketing automation, first of all, you're never going to take the human element out of it. If anybody thinks that you're going to come in with the next silver bullet, I've been in the industry for a long time, and there's always the next silver bullet that's just going to solve all the woes. It's never going to take out the people factor. It's kind of like them telling us that we're going to have drones fly all the airplanes these days. I mean, it's just not going to happen. And so what you've got to do is get people on board early and let them understand what the vision is and what we're trying to accomplish together and have realistic expectations. I think where a lot of these systems, when they're implemented and they fail, it's a relationship failure, and it's a failure to set expectations and vision about where you're going to go.
Talk about that.
Well, I think it's also maybe we're guilty of it a little bit, overselling what the promise of marketing automation is. So I think sometimes we see, you know, there's great promise, but it's complicated to do well, and it requires a pretty significant investment if you want to be successful in it. If you look at case studies around it, though, the companies that do make the investment in marketing automation are seeing real bottom line gains against their competitors, but it's something you have to stick with it, and it won't be successful on day one.
You know, I said we were going to hold kind of questions from the audience till the end, but you just hit on something, and it kind of directly relates to this question that we just received. So Trevor just actually said, what would you say is a minimum dedicated human time, as far as resources are concerned, needed to create and manage marketing automation? Many users have the tools but never actually use them. So this goes kind of right back to what you were saying as far as, you know, investing in not just, great, we've got this great platform, now what? No one has their hands on it. So put the human element. I'm curious to hear all four of you. I'll just start with you all the way over and kind of rattle through the human element time of it.
I suppose it depends on what features of marketing automation you're using, based on what your overall strategy is. Like, some of our clients are very heavy on content personalization, and that obviously takes a certain amount of time. You know, others are doing very heavy email marketing campaigns. So really, it's gonna be very dependent on what your go-to strategy is whenever you start. But yeah, you definitely want to have, you know, dedicated people, depending on the size of your business, that are actually going to put time towards this and be able to actually track and then, importantly, iterate on the results. So it's not something that you can just kind of set up and ignore. You're going to have to get that feedback and improve on that over time. But really, it's going to be dependent on your organization. You know, based on the capacity that you have, start with that and really think about what it is you'll get high gain results from. If that's going to be, first of all, content personalization. So we definitely, with our clients, see or try to get them to start off small if they're totally new to marketing automation, rather than turning on absolutely every single feature of whatever platform it is that they're actually using.
So is that kind of the integrate? You mentioned that's interesting, as opposed to turning on every feature and just hitting the go button, which is just an absolute nightmare if anybody's been through that before. Do you just kind of slowly roll it out in time? What do you think? We'll kind of keep going along that.
Yeah, it's always, you know, start small, do something that's tangible, and, you know, take baby steps, add new features or functionality, as you're ready to implement them. And that, I think, back to, was that Bruce that asked the question?
Trevor.
Trevor, to Trevor's question is, make sure what you're doing. It's easy to hire a developer to do some work and hand it off to you. It's more challenging for you to maintain it once we're done. So we are always trying to advise our clients that, the real work begins after we hand you over the keys to the car, basically. So you really have to plan for it. How many resources? One too many.
So you mentioned one of the things we're all kind of marketing folks, sales folks. When you run your own business, right, you have to be a little bit of everything at that point in time. For the folks that aren't in this industry, so say take a health club, right? I'll just say a health club in particular. The CEO doesn't necessarily understand content automation, and she sees the checks going out. He or she sees the checks going out, and they say, well, I'm paying for all of these features right now. Why are they not all turned on? Why are they not being used? What do you say to them? Good luck with that one.
I'll call you back. No, that's a great point, because it's like you have the Rolls Royce sitting in the garage sometimes. But we're only going to do what's going to make an impact for the business. And I don't think you need to overreach into a feature set just for the sake of reaching into a feature set either, right? There's a lot of analytics. There's a lot of insight, and there's a lot of, I think, just a quick, hey, they jumped on this web page, alert the salespeople to call them, because this is kind of a deep page that insinuates a sale is about to happen, right? There's no need to rack your brain about trying to find a way to use a feature when it's not going to make an impact for your business.
Can I jump in on that?
Of course, absolutely.
I think it's, we're supposed to be was but we're actually all talking the same.
Get up and fight him
thing.
right
now. Where was I going to go with this now? It's data driven, right? Let the data drive the decisions that you're going to make going forward. So, start with a campaign, start with a campaign landing page, start with an email campaign, and test it. Test the crap out of it. Like, do multiple versions of it. Then you start to get an inventory. You start to get to see what type of things are resonating with your clients. Build upon those if you want to, start adding another step in the workflow because you feel that people are dropping out of the funnel somewhere. Like, let the data start to drive your decisions.
I think that's a good point, but I want to go back to a fundamental thing. If I've got somebody that knows nothing about the business that's asking me the question, I said, first thing is that I want to frame up and make sure that they've got proper expectations. We all know that this takes time to do, but I would ask them, I would tell them, say, well, yeah, you bought this tool, but when you were a kid and you learned to ride a bike, you didn't just start riding the bike. There were baby steps that you took through to do that. When you learned to crawl, when you learned to walk, drive a car, fly a plane, whatever it might be, there are certain things that you do. You don't just turn it on all on at once. And it's the same thing here. And so, if you set expectations and set strategic wins that you're going to do at each point and over communicate with the customer, they get a better feeling. They don't feel like they're just writing a check and then waiting 6 or 9 months for some sort of results. So I think if it's properly planned up front with those baby steps going through and giving them that feedback and letting them know that you're going to have a better win in the long run with the customer.
Excellent. So I want to go back to kind of close out this segment. I want to go back to where we kind of started, and that's talking about the lead a little bit more. And one thing that comes to mind is kind of lead scoring. We hear so much about this. I'm kind of curious to get your thoughts. We'll start from a sales perspective. I'll start with you, Vince. What are your thoughts on lead scoring versus kind of person-to-person sales qualification, or are they kind of one and the same sometimes?
Well, I think lead scoring is just a tool in our bag of tricks per se. I mean, it's just another thing that you use. I said before, I don't think you're ever going to take away human-to-human contact in sales, especially if you're talking about like the type of things that we sell, which are services, they're professional services, they're high relationship, they're high touch. If you've got more of a packaged offering, if you've got things that are a smaller, a commodity or that type of thing that are more of a volume play, you can set it up that way and you're going to be able to use lead scoring in a much more effective to get a salesperson and talk to them on the road or on the phone. But I think in the type of stuff that we do, again, it's in the customer's hands. And I think it's just another, the lead scoring tells us what they're doing and gives sales some strategic or tactical insight into what the customer's thinking about, what questions are being answered, or are they looking for. I mean, when a lead comes through, we're just happy that a lead came through, right?
I got an email address.
I mean, I'm just excited, so it's a good thing.
Excellent. What do you think, Michael?
Yeah, it's not a versus situation. Like, they're both tools that you can use, and they both follow each other quite well. So quite traditionally, you're lead scoring, you're identifying, qualified leads, you're passing it on to sales, and then it's sales that are picking up the phone and they're having, those conversations to really put forward the value proposition and drive home the close. So yeah, I don't think they have to be seen as versus.
Excellent. I think it seems like we've had another panel member join in from the audience because they're actually responding to Trevor's question. This is fantastic. I absolutely love this. So I want to read this answer real quick. For the question by Trevor, a strategy with the client, which is 3 months first and switch the most important features, then review it with the client and plan again. So that's kind of what the fifth member of the audience. I love it. Great stuff. So all right, we're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back here on CMS Connected.
So you've got a great website with hundreds, maybe even thousands of visitors. That's great, but each one has their own background, interests, motivations, and goals. But you are showing them all the same content. Not very clever. The solution is content personalization, allowing you to deliver the right message to the right person at the right time in the right form. So let's see how content personalization works.
With a state-of-the-art responsive front end and fully customizable user experience, commerce tools can be put to use with either .NET, Java, or PHP. Focus on what you want to sell. Let us handle the how, with an e-commerce technology enabling you to create engaging shopping experiences.